Hey everybody, it's Daniel, and welcome to another video by the Entropy System. Today I'm going to take on a little bit of a heavier topic in that I'm going to be talking about abuse. A specific type of abuse, though. A lot of people do overhanded abuse, coming in from the top, making the other person feel smaller, either by verbally diminishing them, or, using physical force, things like that. But there's another type of abuse that's more underhanded, where instead of trying to push another person down, they're trying to pull another person to their level. This abuse is just as bad and just as damaging, but it's a lot harder to spot because it is underhanded. It is a lot less talked about than the more overhanded things. So I'm going to talk about signs to look for and things regarding this type of underhanded abuse. First thing on my list is quick involvement. This is normally how the person is able to lure another person into their little abusive bubble. The quick involvement is like love at first sight. Oh, I've never met anyone like you. I've never felt this way about someone before. Or more pointedly, things like, no one has ever treated me as nicely as you do. That kind of phrasing is very poignant in this situation because it makes the victim feel special, like their actions are special, are unique. It makes them feel very important, and so they're more likely to do nice and charitable things for the abuser to keep that sort of position that they feel that they've earned. On the other side of quick involvement is quick to give. These type of underhanded abusers will choose to give a lot in order to instill a sense of obligation for their victim to give back. If their victim doesn't, this could be met with anger or even phrases of guilt. I did this for you, so how could you not do this for me? The next thing on the list is garnering pity for attention. To do this, the abuser often acts very weak. They'll constantly seem like they're sick or tired. They'll talk about how their hardships in life, how difficult it is, and how impossible it is to overcome. They'll regularly be down on their luck and unable to help themselves and needing charity from someone who cares about them in order to get by. The natural human reaction when we see another person who is hurting is to try to take care of that person. This is especially true for more vulnerable people who may have been victims to abuse or neglect earlier in their life. When they have the opportunity to give someone the type of care that they wish they have, they often will. And these type of underhanded abusers thrive on that. Now, it is not abusive to ask someone for help. And some people genuinely need to ask for more help than another person might. However, when someone is asking you to give to a point where it is a genuine burden on you, that you are asked to give past what it is healthy to ask you to give, that is abusive. At that point, the abuser shows that they do not care about the victim's boundaries, about their well-being, and all they care about is getting the attention and the generosity that they desire. My next point builds directly off of this in that the abuser will overuse a victim's generosity. This often means that even if they have other avenues where they could receive help, or if they have ways that they might possibly be able to help themselves, they almost never use these avenues. They'd rather go to their victim and have them provide all the help and all the healing and all the catering that they desire. If the victim tells them, if you need me, my phone's always on, the abuser might regularly call them at odd hours of the day when the victim's at work or sleeping with no regard to their personal schedule. If the victim sees that they're struggling financially and offers to help out, the abuser might ask for money regularly after that point, or large sums of money intermittently. Again, it all circles back to them asking to the point where it is detrimental and harmful to the victim. And what if the victim realizes this? What if they come to the abuser and say, hey, some of these things you're doing don't really feel great to me. The abuser will turn those accusations into more vies for pity. This isn't quite like gaslighting, though it's very similar. Gaslighting would be trying to convince the other person that their memories of an event are wrong. No, it didn't happen like that. I didn't say that. You didn't say that. With this, it's less warping what did happen and instead warping your perception of how it happened. Meaning that the abuser might say, oh, well, I didn't mean to do that, and follow it up almost always by something like, I'm so stupid. I'm just the worst. I can't believe you're with such an awful human being. They'll act like they're owning their own bad behavior, but they do it in such a way that the victim will feel bad for bringing it up in the first place. The next thing on my list is something we called stealth control. This is, again, an underhanded way of controlling what a person does. Rather than saying, no, you can't do this, or you have to ask for my permission to go out, they'll use pity. Again, pity is their strongest tool in order to change their victim's plans. Perhaps they were both supposed to go out with a friend group, but the abuser calls and says, well, I'm really not feeling well. Could you please come over and take care of me? Spend time with me. I'm really lonely. And it might not even be mutual plans. This could be anything, interrupting a victim's family day, or even just a day that they had wanted to themselves. My next point builds directly on top of this, which is a sense of entitlement to the person, that person's time, or that person's money, even things like that person's pet. The abuser will feel entitlement towards whatever it is that makes them happy in a crappy situation. Finally, we go with apologies. A genuine apology is followed up by genuine attempts to change whatever it was that you were apologizing about. This type of underhanded abuser will apologize, but it's empty. There's no change afterward, perhaps for a short amount of time, for a week, for a month. But then they cycle right back into that behavior once they feel they've waited long enough that their victim can start forgiving their asking for money or time or attention once again. Just like before with the confrontation thing, the apologies are often filled with self-detriment. I'm the worst. I'm so dumb. I know that I'm awful, etc., etc. And they may also be filled with false promises. The underhanded abuser may keep their victim compliant by saying things like, of course I'll pay you back this money when I can, or I'll never do that again, with no intent on actually following through with these promises. Any of these behaviors alone are still toxic because they're still ignoring another person's boundaries for your own personal benefit, but alone and intermittently doesn't necessarily make a person an abuser. But if these behaviors stack and become a regular pattern of action, that's when these actions turn into legitimate abuse. And honestly, one of the things that can make this so hard to pinpoint and so hard for people to recognize is that the abuser may not even realize that what they're doing is abusive. They're not going out saying, ha ha ha, I'm going to take absolute advantage of this vulnerable person because I can. They see a vulnerable person willing to give, and they feel like they deserve that person's generosity and charity and money and time and whatever, because life has dealt them the short straw, and they feel that they need extra care and that they deserve extra care because of whatever hardship they've gone through. They don't feel like they're the bad guy. They feel like they're getting repaid for their own pain. It was really important for us to make this video because we've fallen victim to abusers just like this in friendships and relationships. And we know that it's helped some of you guys realize that maybe you're in a bad situation with a person who's treating you badly or abusing you, and that you've been able to recognize that and get out because of one of our videos. And we hope this video will have the same effect for you guys. Before I sign off, I want to give a big thank you to Elizabeth and all of our patrons for helping support our channel and supporting what we do to bring our education to you guys. And as always, please remember that you are loved, you are valuable, and and you are valid. Have a great day. Bye!